Do it. Just do it. Do it. I believe in you. Well, it's true. I don't believe in you. I know you because I know me and I know my own power, therefore I know your own power. But you know what? This video is not going to be a motivational speech in the traditional sense. Rather, we're going to discuss the different sources of motivation, and I have identified three. Before that, let's just kind of fix the lighting a little bit. I think we're good here. Yeah, I've identified three different sources of motivation, and this video is similar yet different to one of our recent videos called The Ultimate Guide to Relationships. And in that video, I said there are basically three relationships you're ever in. Relationship with God, relationship with self, individual self, and relationship with other. In the same way, motivation and inspiration, there are basically three different sources. Source number one is God, source number two is self, source number three is others. And you can probably guess what I'm going to say already. You're probably guessing that I'm gonna say, the best source of inspiration, motivation is God, and you're not wrong, and I'm not wrong neither. You can't go wrong with God. However, hear me out here, because I do want to explain to you, to me, to us here listening to this video, I do want to explain this, and I do want all of us to be aware of some of the pitfalls and the downfalls of being motivated by certain sources here. So I'm gonna start with, so again, we've identified three different sources of motivation here. Source number one, others. No, let's start from the top down. Source number one is inspiration, motivation from God. Inspiration, motivation, source number two is self, individual self, and number three is others. So I'm gonna start now this video, and by the way, before we go on explaining each one of them, they're all valid, okay, and we all get inspired and motivated probably simultaneously from all these different sources. What I want to give a warning here is to be dependent on being inspired and motivated by others, but also by self, and I'm gonna explain. All right, let's get into it now. All right, introduction over. Let's get into it. So, motivation from others, being inspired by others. Basically, let's put it this way. If, let's say, you're watching my videos and you get inspired, you feel uplifted, or someone else's, or you watch sports and you have your favorite athlete, maybe you're watching Messi dribble through people, through defenders, and you're like, wow, I'm motivated. I'm gonna go, you're playing in Sunday League and you're like, what, man, I'm gonna kill it in Sunday League today, I just seen Messi and I got motivated. You're being motivated by others, and that's great, and it's really admirable. It's admirable how humans inspire and motivate one another, unknowingly or unknowingly. It's really cute. It really is cute. So that would be an example of one source of motivation through others. Now, through self, an example of being motivated through self is the self-talk, right? Like, for instance, say you're just getting into cold showers, and you're really trying to get the motivation. You're trying to get going. So you go, you open the water, and then you stare it down, and you're like, you're just sitting there, you're standing there, you're like, oh, am I really gonna do this? And then, you just kind of maybe take a few deep breaths, and you're like, come on, I'm gonna just use my name here. Come on, Saeed, you could do it. Come on, you got this. Come on, come on, you got it. And then, you motivate yourself, you inspire yourself, and you're like, come on, you can do it. Come on, you got this. This is the kind of stuff I used to do many years ago when I got into cold showers. I'd stare the water down and just kind of like motivate myself. Other times I would play music, at that time particularly like aggressive rap music, and I was getting motivated from others to do this uncomfortable thing, okay, that I know is going to benefit me. So that's an example of motivation from self. And now an example of motivation from God. Now, so an example of that would be you praying to God and saying, God, I am your servant, I am your humble servant. Thank you for giving me everything. It's kind of like what I can't remember who it was. Maybe Wabi Kenobi from Star Wars. He says to somebody. He says maybe to Luke. A Jedi must never forget their source of power. A Jedi must never forget who they're serving, the Force. So it's kind of like that. Your inspiration for being alive, your motivation for being alive becomes to serve the Force. And you give credit to the Force. Excuse me. And you give credit to the source. And everything you do must be aligned with the Force, must be aligned with the Tao. And you assess your actions, you assess your behavior. And your motivation for being alive, your motivation for doing things, your motivation for interacting with others becomes primarily to serve the Force, to serve the Tao, to serve God, to become an embodiment of God, to serve God on plain earth. You can think of somebody whose inspiration and motivation came from God is Jesus. Right? Jesus, after he did his thing in the desert, he comes back, he says, me and the Father are one, and I am here to serve the Father. And you can think of like prophets, right? You can think of prophets, you can think of really like benevolent people that took on a cause, a particular cause, and their entire life revolved around that cause. Whether that cause maybe was to, let's say, free the slaves, or something of that sort, right? Think of like a missionary, somebody on a mission. Think of like a Wim Hof type person, right? Wim Hof is always speaking and talking. I'm a missionary. I am here on a mission. We are strong, happy, and healthy, and I am here to show people everything is possible, right? Think of people like that their inspiration, their motivation to be alive, to carry on. I mean, what do you think happened to Wim Hof when his wife committed suicide? This is like, I watched a recent video of him. He says that's like absolutely the saddest, obviously most devastating moment in his life, and it was a turning point. What do you think keeps a person like that alive? Some kind of a mission. Some kind of a mission. Some kind of a mission. Something they're living for. Something that's greater than themselves. There we go. We now finally got like a package to package this source of motivation. We called it a motivation from God. Really, it's something greater than self. So we started with I'm motivated, I'm inspired by others' actions and behaviors, and that's fantastic. I'm not putting any of these down. Then you go up a little bit, and then you say, well, I'm motivated by my own. I mean, I believe in myself, I know my powers, and that's fantastic. And like I said in the beginning of the video, we're always being inspired and motivated from all these different sources simultaneously, okay? And then we take it a step further, and then I am motivated by a cause, by something that affects more than just me. I mean, you could go, let's use the cold shower example, and you could be like, you know what, man, I saw this, you're standing there, you're about to jump in, you're like, I'm so motivated by Wim Hof, I just listened to his podcast, I'm gonna do this. And you do it. And fantastic, what a great way to be motivated by someone else. Another way is you say, it's the same action, but different sources of motivation, different inspiration. You say, come on, I'm powerful, I'm strong, I can do this. And then the third way, you could say, you know what, I'm gonna do this right now, I'm gonna take a cold shower right now, because I want to be the best possible servant for people. I want to be the best possible servant for God. I want to be strong and healthy so that I can serve. You see, same action, different motivation. And you can probably now begin to see where I'm going with this. They're all valid, they're all wonderful. I don't care how it got you motivated. I mean, I can't go on and on about certain things that I did in my life that I started doing them because I got inspired by someone else. So that's fantastic. But you can see, the higher you go up the ladder, the more sustainable and the stronger the inspiration, the stronger the motivation. Meaning, if your inspiration and motivation we're going to use cold shower as an example. To take this cold shower every day is to serve. God, I want to be the healthiest version of myself. God, I want to be the best version of myself. Because God, there's so much pain on planet Earth and I want to help. I want to uplift the vibrations. Your inspiration, your source of inspiration and motivation is so vast, energizing. You're more likely to continue to do the cold showers. You're more likely to get greater benefits, deeper benefits, because there is a greater purpose. It's you're serving God. Your source of motivation is God. You want to serve God through serving others, let's say. And I can tell you the reason why Wim Hof, we're using Wim Hof again as an example here. I'm a huge fan of the man. The reason why he is who he is because his motivation, his source of inspiration is derived from God, is derived from the source. He's a Jedi, and he remembers his source of power, his source of strength. It's the force, it's the way, it's the Tao. You see? God first. And so because of that, I can tell you that's why he is who he is. That's why he's accomplishing all these things. If his source of inspiration was just like, and he might have started like that, right? Because he said he started dabbling with the cold because he was so in pain, right? But I can tell you, if he never had this mission, we might not even know who he is, because maybe his source of motivation wouldn't have taken him that far. Although even just motivation from self, like I am strong, this individual self can still take you many, many places. But I'm saying, you're more likely to continue doing something. You're more likely to be sustaining a certain thing, a certain positive habit, if your source of inspiration and motivation was something greater than your own individual self. Okay? Now let's go down the ladder to I am motivated by, and nothing is wrong with these. You're gonna use all of these at some point in your life, and yeah, that's just the way it is. So we have motivation from self, I, me, right? Me. The individual human is very powerful. And if the individual human starts to have positive self-talk, they'll get a lot done. So I am strong, I am powerful, I am the best, whatever, best basketball player or something, best soccer player, football player, whatever it is. I just committed a crime by using the word soccer, huh? It's football. For fuck's sake, mate, it's called football. So, anyway, you catch my drift here. I am. That can really get you going too. It's a very powerful source, and you can accomplish a lot by just deriving this power from inside of you. The only problem with that is down the line, you're going to feel empty inside. You would accomplish so many things just being motivated, inspired from this individual self. You could accomplish so much. You could win every trophy there is to win if you're an athlete and you really believe I am the best athlete in my business and my sport. But there is an inevitable feeling of emptiness down the line. Okay? And I'm going to use an example, very fresh example. I was watching an interview yesterday by Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Great footballer. And he's 41 now, 41. He plays for a team called AC Milan, and he doesn't play much. He doesn't get much playing time. He's old, right? He's getting injured a lot. And in the interview, he was saying that in my younger days, I was more selfish. And I just wanted the glory for myself, and I wanted to prove myself. And he's saying nowadays I've gained wisdom. Even though he sits on the bench most of the time, he doesn't play. He motivates his team. He motivates the youngsters, because it's a young team. He motivates the youngsters, his role, and he's accepted it in embodiment. And it's really beautiful to see someone who is self-admittedly used to be so arrogant in his younger days, so selfish. And you can tell, just him talking, he feels more fulfilled. Even though he's barely playing, he's barely getting minutes on the field. In his younger days, he accomplished the trophies. Most of the glory was in his younger days. But you can feel he's more fulfilled now. He's playing this role of a mentor now to those young players. And it was really beautiful to watch. Even though he's accomplished more on paper, I can see that he's more fulfilled now because he's acting as a mentor. He speaks a lot about the team. He wants the greater good of the team. He's not like, oh, you gotta play me, coach. You don't know who I am. I'm Zlatan, He's like, no, he's accepting where he is. He's old. You got the youngsters, and he really is mentoring them. And he loves it. And you can feel You can see the wisdom in him. You can see, the age really served him well. This is what I'm talking about here. Your motivation by ego can get you so far in terms of the worldly things. You can accomplish trophies, you can accomplish a lot, you can become a CEO, but you want to be fulfilled, you've got to have a cause, man. You've got to have something greater than yourself. And in the example of Zlatan here, he's thinking of the team. He is not even playing. He's not getting, he's barely getting any time. He was getting a little more, I think, at the beginning of the season, but he's old, he's getting injured. Wisdom, and fulfillment. You see? So now the down the ladder to the bottom is motivation, inspiration by others. And that's fantastic, and I cannot tell you how many things I started because I saw someone else do it and I got inspired by them. And that's great. That's great. This particular form of motivation, however, has the greatest tendency to develop an addiction to others and to even worship and put others on a pedestal. So this is very common in the motivational speech industry. It's a whole industry. Motivational speakers. It's a whole industry, right? And you see a lot of people are hooked on their favorite motivational speaker. They can't start the day without listening to their motivational speaker. They can't finish the day without it. They listen to that all day and it gets them going. It inspires you, right? It's good brainwashing. It's positive brainwashing. But take that away from you. Meaning, let's say suddenly for like a month, there was no more internet. You couldn't go on YouTube and watch these things. At least in the beginning, you're going to feel withdrawal symptoms. Same as like somebody getting withdrawal from drugs. So this mode of inspiration is great to get started into something and to keep going. Yeah, like keep going. Like let's say you really changing your life. You're really going in a positive direction here. Really going for it. And you start implementing all these wonderful habits. You're running for the first time in your life. You're going to the gym for the first time in your life. You're losing weight. I can tell you that for a few months to even like the first year of really making impactful difference, it will serve you really well to surround yourself with other people that are inspiring, motivating. Listen to motivational speakers. Constantly listen to those videos. Watch if you find my videos inspiring. Watch them over and over. Brainwash yourself by them. They're like crutches. Getting inspired and motivated by others is like crutches. Once you can walk, don't carry it anymore. But at the same time, don't be opposed to being inspired by others. Okay? I don't use that anymore. More and more as, again, age, if you're a conscious person, if you're a contemplative person, age does serve you well. As I go into 30s now, I'm starting to realize a sort of a shift in my behavior where I'm more God-centered, I'm more us-centered, and by no means am I perfect at it or anything. But I am using certain prayers right now to purify me, God. I'm your servant. One of the prayers I use, God, I am your servant on plain earth, and I serve you through serving others. I give without expectations, and yeah, so I use that prayer. So what happens is, because you start to realize like you want sustainable energy, yeah? Like if your main source of motivation, see, if your main source of inspiration and motivation is others, you're gonna there's a trap of being addicted, and then not being aware of your own power, and then not being aware that, hey, like there is even the source of all, literally the source. And that can give you so much energy, so much motivation, so much inspiration. And so but however, if your main source of motivation is God, it's absolutely not problematic to be inspired and motivated by others. So it's about which one is your main fix, which one is your main source of inspiration, which one is your main source of motivation. With others, it's finite. Like finite, meaning let's say in the morning you listen to motivational speeches, it gets you going. You go to the gym, you do great. You go back home and you have to now face your own thoughts, and then you realize, oh wow, I have too many negative thoughts. Let me put on my favorite motivational speaker again. See how it's finite? It's not infinite. It's not infinite inspiration and motivation. So this source of motivation and inspiration is fantastic as long as it's not the major source of inspiration and motivation in your life. Fantastic, but do not thou shalt not have no other gods before me. I had a video called There's Only One God. Watch it. Very good. It relates to this video very much. Okay? Do not put people on a pedestal. Do not put others on a pedestal. Do not depend on their words, on their thoughts, on their actions. Like some people respond really, really well to compliments and it gets them going and they go. But then when these compliments are either not present, not there, they crash. Not sustainable, my friends. Not sustainable at all. You don't want this to be the major source of inspiration for you. Move up next. You have a cleaner source of energy, cleaner form. Because now, let's say you're like, okay, I'm gonna depend on myself more for that. That's a cleaner form of energy, 100%. You're way better off having your main source of inspiration and motivation from myself, than from others. It's more sustainable that way. You can clean out your thoughts. You can start to positive, meditate, install new programs, and it's wonderful. It is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, I can list many athletes here that have accomplished so many things, have gotten so far just by having so much belief in themselves. Okay, the problem with that, if it stays your main source of inspiration and motivation, at some point down the line you realize I'm not fulfilled. Why are you not fulfilled? Because we're all here to serve, folks. We're here to serve. We're here to realize the oneness of everything. We're here to serve each other. We're here to serve the plain earth. We're here to serve the animals. We're here to serve the plants. And if we're not doing something that's greater than ourselves, somewhere down the line, we are going to feel this void, this emptiness, not in a good positive way type emptiness like I meditated, Om Mani Padme Hum, and you say this for hours and hours and you get into this wonderful state of empty bliss. Okay, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a disdain. I'm talking about a discontentment, a feeling of restlessness, emptiness. Like, is that it? I have everything. I have all the trophies. I have a trophy wife. Everyone thinks she's hot, but I'm not happy with her. You know, it's not a fulfilling relationship because you don't feel fulfillment. You're always thinking selfishly. And the more we become selfless, then what happens is we start to go to our main source of inspiration and motivation becomes God-centered. Anything that any person that has a cause greater than themselves, think Braveheart. You know what was his name? William Wallace in the movie? Think Braveheart, right? And that's so energizing. Think Aragorn. I love Aragorn. Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. Think people like that. They seem to have this endless energy. They're just endlessly running on energy. Why? Because they are God-driven. They are concerned about the well-being of others, not just themselves. They believe in themselves. They get inspired by their own strengths and gifts and everything. They also look at others, admire others, appreciate them, but neither of these are their main source of inspiration and motivation. Their main source of inspiration and motivation, God-driven. God-driven, you don't even have to believe in God. You just have to have a cause greater than you and serve that cause and live that cause and breathe that cause. And once you do that, you'll feel I'm so much more energized. And everything you do now comes from the motivation of I want to be a better servant to my people, a better servant to my family. It could be as simple as an honest man working to serve his family, to bring his raising his children to the best of his ability, and being as best of a husband to his wife. It could be just some have to be greater than this one. It could be a cat lady that just takes all these stray cats and just treats them like kings and queens, king and queen cats. That's beautiful. That's fulfilling. And that's it, man. That's that infinite source of energy. That's the ever giving well, basically. It's an ever giving river. It's an ever flowing river that's just giving and giving and giving. And you feel so much more fulfilled, and you no longer have to get inspired by others. Yet when you see something in someone, you admire and appreciate it, and it can inspire you, but it is not your main source of inspiration. You're no longer, and you can admire your own gifts, your own talents, and you can know yourself as this powerful being, but you're not, it's not the main source of inspiration and motivation anymore, because you realize somewhere down the line, as powerful as it is to believe and know yourself, and as much as you could do, you realize somewhere down the line it's not fulfilling. You can even get depressed at some point. Like, hey, I accomplished everything. I thought I was gonna be the happiest person on earth, but it's kind of whatever. You can even get depressed. You can even become depressed. Think like all these celebrities that are self-centered, right? And yeah, they just end up drug overdosing and depressed and suicidal. So then you realize down the line, you're like, whoa, that's it. I'm a God person. I'm God-centered. You don't have to believe in God. It helps though. It helps. You don't have to, as long as it's a greater cause. That's it. I think that's the package just in a nutshell. And that's about it. My sincere gratitude to our generous donors. Thank you guys for your generosity. If you would like to sponsor this channel through a donation, it is highly appreciated. There is a link down below in the description. I also offer one-on-one consulting services. If you're interested to book a call, boom, link in the description. Give us a follow on Instagram. It's my name, Saeed Mubayyad. And until next time, may the force be with you.